Are you ready? Today, me and my bun, that's the size of the Eiffel Tower, are getting ready to break down episode 2. Let's get it! Hello, and welcome back to this series of A Black Girl Reacts, where each week we will be reacting and unpacking an episode of the Challenge All-Stars. Today, we will be reviewing episode 2, and boy, do I have a show for you. But first, if watching my chaotic reactions to shows brings you joy, I would really appreciate it if you would just subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. It's just a quick click of a button. Tap on the button, just click. Like this video and hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode from me. I am here every week. Tap in. Let's get into it. So last week you watched episode 1 with me as I gave my genuine reaction to the foolery that was unfolding. However, Viacom and CBS didn't necessarily like that and they blocked my video for a bit. However, they did give me some grace and unblocked it after I appealed. However, I would rather you guys not have to wait for my videos. So we're gonna try a different approach. So this week we will be unpacking the foolishness that unfolded in episode 2 after I've already seen and had my experience watching it, let's say. Maybe we'll go back to the old format next week. You decide, let me know what you prefer in the comments down below. Would you rather watch the show with me and see all the craziness as it happens, or just hear my thoughts after? Let me know. Today we will be breaking down the episode and we will be discussing the foolery that went down. Don't know what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, girls and gays, boys and girls, in one corner, she's tall, she's blonde, she's been on 6 seasons of the challenge, quit one of them after screaming at me and being labeled as what some may call a racist asshole. We have Trishelle.
Fucking Jewish? You're black.
In our other corner, we have someone who's apparently only been on one other season of the challenge, but she won. Apparently, she's a major contender. I never would have guessed that based on her performance this week. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Kendall.
And then there was you, Kendall. So tell us what happened.
This week, challengers were tasked with playing a classic game of challenge trivia. And by classic, I mean they were suspended over water, and for every question they got wrong, they were one step closer to falling to their death. And you would think these players are the OG players on the challenge. The very challenge trivia archive was created and based on these people's seasons themselves. They created the game. Surely they would do well, right? You're wrong. Y'all, when I tell you there was an ice cream truck outside that did not want to let me live, it was so fucking loud. Again, I'm so grateful to live here, but the walls are thin as hell. Oh my gosh. I was so shocked at how these players performed because they were just not getting these questions. Like I said, they were suspended above water, and for each question they got wrong, in this case, they had to take a step forward on this platform, and with every step forward, there was a chance that they might fall through this like trap door concoction that would ultimately lead to them being eliminated. The first man that dropped was Cyrus. And the first woman that dropped was Trishelle. But it was a women's elimination this week, so that meant Trishelle was going straight into the arena. The challenge continues, and people are just not getting these questions. I thought Darrell was going to do a lot better than he did, considering he's been on more recent seasons of the challenge, but he didn't win. But lo and behold, we had a little showdown between Tech and Nehemiah. And like, I was not expecting it because these two players have not been on more recent seasons of the challenge, but they were killing it. And ultimately, Nehemiah won. But do you want to know what made me really excited? Like freaking excited.
So freaking excited.
When it came to my girls, my girl just won. Anissa, who I have been clearly rooting for, dominated this game. Not only did Anissa win, but she did not win by chance. This girl was well read. She came prepared. She did her homework. She answered so many questions right, not just for the girls around, but even when the guys were going, she was shouting out answers for them. Like, she was so prepared, and I will give credit where credit is due. She did win this challenge, but her and Ruthie were just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Fresh meat. Brad? Queenstown, New Zealand.
Oh my God.
And I don't know who Ruthie is. I have not seen her on any recent seasons of the challenge. Clearly, she's an OG who was on the challenge years ago, and she came correct, unlike a lot of her peers. So good job, Ruthie, and go off Anissa. I was living for the representation we had amongst our winners this season. However, I would be remiss if I did not bring up this one peculiar situation that unfolded during this challenge. Although she was not the first person to drop, Miss Kendall. What happened? I
don't understand, bitch. Don't understand.
Here we have Kendall, who did not end up dropping first. Like I said, that was Trishelle. However, we had this very sad situation that unfolded where she answered a question wrong, and instead of stepping forward like everyone else did when they got a question wrong, she proceeded to step in the opposite direction, and instead of just hopping in the other direction like she could have, like TJ told her to do.
On the circle.
Can I just go down that one?
No.
She tried playing it off like she didn't know what to do and she didn't know where to go. She proceeded to act confused, most likely to distract from the fact that she was just terrified of jumping in the water, which is understandable. But then she just proceeded to curl up in a ball and rock back and forth on the platform.
You'll be fine.
Now, I know we saw Katie take a pretty hefty fall, like there was blood dripping out of her nose.
So funny.
It wasn't pretty, and this was not like her first time having that happen to her. Her and water and being suspended in the air don't really seem to mix well. I totally forgot this happened. And I can understand seeing that happen and thinking to yourself, nah, that ain't gonna be me, bitch, you thought. I don't think so. Now, you were terrified watching that, Kendall, and didn't want to go in. Why didn't you just say that? It would have been a lot less bizarre had you just said, y'all, listen, I know this is the challenge, but I'm scared as fuck. I'm not jumping in that water. I don't need blood dripping down my face. I like my face, okay? I will prove myself in an elimination instead, so just vote me in. But instead, she kept trying to explain away her behavior in nominations while exhibiting what I would describe as very bizarre behavior. And granted, I watched this while it was faded, but it was still very cringy and concerning to watch.
And then there was you, Kendall. So tell us what happened.
Well, then, so I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. So do I hop back onto it this way? Am I gonna smash my face? Like, okay, how do I do that? Sorry, my mouth is really dry. Is there water?
Kendall is having a whole meltdown.
Despite how the whole situation went down, she was rightfully still nominated for elimination, and her and Trishelle went to prepare to duke it out. Now, there was some drama that unfolded that we should address, prior to getting into the whole elimination situation. Miss Trishelle and longtime friend Katie, y'all remember Katie, got into a fight because apparently Trishelle got mad because Katie did not immediately run to her after nominations and let her know that Kendall was going to be the person she was going against in an elimination, even though she would have found out anyway. And then when I say this escalated, it escalated quickly. All of a sudden they show a timestamp. It's 4 a.m. and Katie is going off like Katie used to go off back in the day.
No. I am not gonna let you fucking talk to me like that anymore.
And this turns into a whole argument that apparently is now like 16 years in the making, which ultimately just proved to me that adults never become adults. We're all just big children with bills to pay, responsibilities, and autonomy, because look at this shit. I guess the whole crux of this argument is Trishelle didn't think that Katie had her back for the last 6 years they were living together. And when I say last 6 years, I mean like almost 2 decades ago. So this drama runs deep. I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, but if you're gonna let your frustrations surrounding going into elimination, despite it being no one else's fault but your own, ruin a friendship that you've had for almost 2 decades, but that's just me. I don't really know what to say to that. Do you? But damn. I will say, I guess Trishelle did have some redeeming conversations this season. She did approach Anissa and apologize for the foolery that happened on Rivals 2, where she screamed in Anissa's face and was using a lot of racial slurs. And Anissa was receptive.
I forgave you so long ago. This was 9 years ago, which doesn't make it right.
She said she forgave her a long time ago. She said she's not that person anymore. She says it's genuine. I hope it's genuine. If it's not, but good for her. We love to see growth, and I just hope it's genuine. And then we had this elimination face-off between Trishelle and Kendall because Nehemiah did not want to use his lifesaver.
I will not be using the lifesaver.
The game was not so fast. It is a classic. I love this game specifically because I feel like it creates a much more even playing field as opposed to a pole wrestle or a hall brawl, which I also love, but I do think this game is much more fair. You do have to be strategic and there is endurance involved. However, the objective of the game is to essentially create a knot that is tight enough and difficult enough to unravel in a certain specified period of time before your opponent then has to unravel that knot while you do the same to theirs, and then whoever finishes unraveling that knot first in this giant cage wins. They were going at it for a bit, and I wasn't rooting for anyone in particular because I don't really have attachments to either of these two, but it looked pretty close. Kendall ultimately ended up winning, and I guess her and Darrell have history.
I hear Darrell's voice coming from the audience. It's like tunnel vision.
Aww. Trishelle got sent home, as Trishelle does, and this ultimately concluded episode 2 of All Stars. Like I said, I don't know Kendall. This was my first impression of her, which was honestly pretty jarring. But she looks like she's in shape. She sent Trishelle home. The other players seem to think she's a threat, and that might just be because she won her season, but that was 17 years ago. I'm not sure how she'll perform this season after what I saw. Yeah, she's in shape, and yeah, she won a final, but that was 17 years ago, and the challenge has changed a lot since then, clearly. But I would be happy to see her prove that she's a badass and has the mental fortitude to win this challenge, so let's just see how she does. With that being said, it was an interesting episode indeed, but I am still so excited for this season, and I cannot wait for this upcoming week's episode, and I can't wait to react to it or unpack it or both with you who has joined me and has made it this far in the video. Snaps for you. If you made it, let me know in the comments down below by leaving a strawberry emoji of sorts, maybe, I don't know, pick an emoji. Let me know you stayed to the end. Y'all know I'm not exaggerating, right? Do you see, do you hear? You hear what's going on, right? Does it sound like a terrorist attack? Please let me know what you're thinking of the season down below. And please be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, por favor. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from me, especially when it comes to this series. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in my next upload.
And if the beat live, you know Lil J